Hey everyone, welcome back to the Psychedelic Cherry. Today I'm doing a Q&A on guitar pedals, gear, garage rock, and myself, so stick around. Hello. So I am Spaceship asks, what is your favorite bubblegum group of the 60s? I like a few bubblegum groups from the 60s. I used to do a darker cover of a Partridge Family song, I Think I Love You, where I dropped a lot of the chords into minor, and I really loved that song. So, but I'm not going to say Partridge Family. I'm going to go with the Archies, who did Sugar Sugar, you know. Sugar, da 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 da. I can't sing the rest because I'll have to pay a royalty, but you know the song. I think if we're talking about bubblegum pop from the 60s, that song is a fantastic song, but it fulfills all of the stipulations for bubblegum pop. So I'm going with the Archies. And I'm not even sure, I think that song was written for the Archies comic cartoon. I'm not even sure the Archies are really a band outside of that cartoon, but I could be wrong, so maybe, I don't know, I'll Google it later. Okay, Joey Picone had a lot of questions. Joey, first let me say that I'm going to try and get to all of your questions, but they may not all be answered in this single video, because I'm just reading most of them now. What are the deciding factors when choosing 9-volt battery or AC from the wall? Is one noisier? So here are some deciding factors. 9-volt batteries are bad for the environment. There's a whisper amongst pedal makers in the pedal making world about trying to build pedals as often as we can without utilizing a battery at all. And I think that's a valid concern. Has nothing to do with the sound you're creating. So on a non-ethical point, 9 volts are really convenient and don't require an outlet to be plugged into, obviously, but they do die unreliably. And as long as you're plugged into an actual electric source, you're not going to have that problem in the middle of your gig. I recommend being plugged in. As I said in the earlier video, I use the Voodoo Lab 2, but there are all sorts of really convenient power adapters where you can just plug all your pedals right in there. And why not? Why not have that? As far as noise difference, if there is one, I've never noticed it. I'm sure there's probably a little bit of sound difference, but I'm not sure which way that would lean. I'd have to do more research on that. So there you go. I hope that answered your question. All right, so Anthony Ferrara asks, when should a distortion pedal be used instead of selecting the appropriate amplifier? This is a really great question. I would say that what's most important is the combination of guitar and amplifier if you're trying to achieve a particular sound. Frankly, that should get you most of the way there. Now, I know that seems a little odd considering if you're looking for a really heavily distorted tone, you're thinking, how could that possibly get to that blown out tone I'm looking for? But that tone is still based in the shape of the signal waves. The sound waves. And those sound waves are being manipulated first by the amplifier, and they're created first by the guitar. So it's the combination of the two that is most important. And I would say really figure out what combination of the two you're looking for, and then really focus on the settings on your amp, because that should get you 70 to 75% of the way there. Once you're there, if you want to throw in all the pedals you can imagine to really get your tone to exactly the way you want it, really fine tune it, that's when pedals come in handy. But you're just never gonna get, you know, the Sgt. Pepper's guitar tone with a Telecaster through a line 6. That's just never gonna happen. It's not going to happen because it wasn't made that way. Now, I am aware that changing your guitar and your amp every time you want to change tones is obviously not the most viable, cost-effective solution for most of us. And that is also a good time to bring in your pedals that can just give you a little nudge in the right direction. But if you're really looking to achieve a particular tone, the pedals alone can't do it. All right, so I think that's all the questions I'm gonna do today, but I think I received so many questions that I'm definitely gonna have to do another one of these. Hopefully sooner than later. I'm going to be moving out of my house for a month, so that could affect things, but I've got a phone wherever I'm going. They have signal in Eagle Rock, so please go ahead and leave more questions if you have them in the comments below, and don't forget to share and subscribe. But more importantly, I need to remind you about the new feature, the little bell right next to the subscribe button. As it turns out, hitting subscribe doesn't mean YouTube's gonna let you know when I make new videos. So if you're disappointed that you haven't seen a lot of my more recent videos, just hit that bell to be sure, and you will be notified when I make a video. Okay, thanks. This has been the Psychedelic Cherry. I'm May McDonough, and please subscribe.